Okay, I'd like to call tonight's council meeting to order. Recommendation that the regular council meeting be suspended and the committee of the whole meeting be convened. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Niche. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, I'd like to call tonight's committee of the whole meeting to order. Recommendation that the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting of February 20th, 2017 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Moreau, seconded by Councillor Cunningham. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, if there's any members of the public tonight that would like to come forward and speak to council on any topic they wish, they may come to speak in the microphone. Welcome.
Larry Golden, 1601 2nd Avenue West. I'd like to ask the question I wanted to ask last time, but the meeting was called off. There was a notice in the. Well, first I want to make a generic statement. I think you guys are misusing your in-camera meetings. You're closing at 5. You're doing your in-camera at 5, but I find nothing in the minutes when that in-camera closed. So. To do it technically and legally, I suspect there should be the in-camera was over at this amount of time. That's usually why it's done after a meeting, to make it short and sweet. But you guys start at 5 and you don't say you ever stopped, at least in your minutes. Okay, the question I want to ask, there's several, but it's mainly about Watson Island. So there was a notice in the paper January 4th or something, or comments were made by January 4th. About 4 lots, and it just gave the PID number, property identification numbers. It said that these are going to be transferred to Legacy Inc. for whatever reason. And when you look those up, they are Watson Island properties. 2 of them are on the waterfront, and 2 of them are in the back. So that brings to numerous questions: A, about Legacy Inc., but B, the status of Watson Island. The main property wasn't transferred. So and then secondly, you also want to know, what about the expenses? Has all the, what I'm hearing was the buildings were torn down, but the foundations are still there and stuff like that. So what we really need is some sort of update and how we're going to pay for any further enhancements. Selling the properties or renting the properties is a good idea. But Legacy Inc. was set up, again, for Lot 444. Again, Prince Rumor is rampant about what happened to Lot 444. That's across the harbor where it was potentially going for LNG. As I understood, we had a contract with them, and they were to buy it this particular year, or this last year. The rumors are that the sale was quashed, or the contract was broken, but more likely is that it's just been put off for a long period of time. We'll talk about it later, but is there money coming out of it? And if we had time, I'd like to talk about the restricted dog bylaws, restricted dog breeds. I did an FOI and asked how many restricted breeds licenses have been issued by the city, and I got none. So we went through this is several years back. The council took a lot of time to pass that bylaw and was worried about certain kinds of breeds of dogs, and they were to pay higher dog feed licenses. So it's was this sort of like a council decision? I can see it, and it looks like only if people come in and ask for their dog license do we give them to them, and these restricted breeds, in other words, that should be paying more, are just, we don't do that anymore. And one of the council members said, well, maybe we don't have any of those. I've got 3 or 4 just within blocks of my house, Okay. So those are questions as opposed to, if you could go back to the Watson Island.
Sure. Mr. Vera, are you taking note of the questions that he had? Yes. Sure. We'll prepare a response for you and we'll get back to you.
There was one more critical one. The dog bylaw. That one is, so it's not being reinforced. So one wonders if it's just And could you tell us what's happened with lot 444?
As I said, we'll get back to you with a response.
Okay. And you might even give me at the time the best way of asking those questions. It might be an FOI, but yeah. And so, but going back to the original one was, I think you guys are misusing your in-camera meetings. They should be stated when they start and when they end, and they should only be about the subjects being at that particular
Everything
time.
we do is within legal bounds, Mr. Golden. So that's a matter of your opinion versus the actual facts. So, you have any other questions you'd like to ask us today?
You saying you started in camera at 5 o'clock, didn't you? Today?
Yes, absolutely.
When did you end?
That's a matter of in-camera conversation. I mean, I don't have to explain that at this moment.
Okay, that's a good idea. I suspect we could go to the and it's on the record.
It's all within the minutes. It's all within legal bounds.
No, I will go to the.
I don't know what you're referring to here. You're accusing us once again of doing something.
I think you're doing it. I think you're doing it illegally.
Okay, well, that's your opinion, and we're not.
The whole point is to do it open.
Do you have any other questions, Mr. Golden? Because honestly, you're just making accusatory claims at this point. Everything we do here is in legal bounds. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Starr, why don't you come forward? Sure. Yep, that's fine.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just going to adjust my mic. Good evening, City Council. Today is my last day in the House. As I said before the council meeting start this evening, and I've been a volunteer with the City of Prince Rupert for 20 years or more, and today is my last day. I know there has been a name, Your Worship, of McKay Street Park. Is there a decision on that, Your Worship? I know there was
the final designs from the designers are just coming back to Transition Prince Rupert at the moment.
Okay.
And I believe that the group's going to review those designs and then figure out the next steps from there.
Okay. And I was one of the ambassadors. Is that correct, Your Worship? One of the ones selected?
You're definitely one of the McKay Street ambassadors, for sure.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship. And I'll be excited to, hear back. And if I may continue, please. It will be, construction will take phase this spring, 2017. Is that correct, Your Worship? Or has that been...
There's been no timelines put onto it yet, no.
Oh, okay. Okay. People are asking me politely, and I says, there's no timeline, as I understand. But I've been a volunteer with the city, and my last day in Prince Rupert is the 28th of February, 2017. And I'd like to thank Kevin from the Northern View, and I'll be surely missed. As a Madam Speaker of the House here, it's going to be, just moving on to other things, but I will keep in contact with you and the City of Prince Rupert, how things are developing. And another, changing the topic, if I may, Your Worship, it's the vehicles on McKay Street Park. As you know, you and I have seen it, as you know how they speed like around, if it were a racetrack, you and I have seen it, as correct? And it's just gotten worse. I see a mishap just a few weeks ago, and nearly hit the fire hydrant on the bottom of McKay Street, and I was standing right there, and it was a close call because it was nearly a head-on. Big vehicle going to hit a smaller vehicle, and The speeding, the Skeena taxi, I'm getting back to Skeena taxi too. There's no, they're not giving pedestrians right away. And there's many of them they're running stop signs, they're running solid red lights. I see it every day, as well as other vehicles. It's just going to be, I know we have a lot of reinforcement with city police here in Prince Rupert, with the all native over. It's nice to see members from other provinces helping out with us. And they're doing the best they can to control the, I assume they're doing their best. And I will miss everybody here. And so Blackfish Park was, I was thinking, you and I, and we were in chambers behind closed doors. And
Careful, Mr. Golden may think that we're having private, secret meetings.
Okay, yeah.
That are illegal, of course.
Okay, yeah, okay. But, I didn't get a glass of water. But, I really enjoy coming in, seeing everybody, and this is my first time speaking in the House since the new year's begun. And tonight is my last night here at City Council as a volunteer.
And to start, I'd like to say, how much we thank for all the work you've done in this community. I know you're on to new adventures, and it's probably an exciting time for you too, and some new journeys for you, and everything you've done for McKay and all the things you've done helping out in the community. I know you've done lots of great things for this place over the last 20 years, and you volunteered immensely. So on behalf of all of us, just want to thank you for everything you've done and all the positive energy you brought to this place.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'm going to take my seat at the front bench, and I'm going to listen in for a bit, and then I will proceed, enjoy the evening walk. And I'd like to thank Your Worship for allowing me to sit in the chair to bring the House to order before 7 p.m. and a follow-up. And great. So I wish everybody well. I'll miss everybody. It's hard. It's not easy. So I'm going to take my seat. Your Worship.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there any other speakers from the audience that would like to come speak to Council tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to adjourn our committee of the whole to return to the regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Kinney. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, seeing as it's application season, we had some last minute letters of support today that came in. And so a recommendation that the agenda for the regular council meeting of February 20th, 2017 be adopted with additional late item 7B, correspondence from the Cane Island Trail Enhancement and Recreation Society, 7C, correspondence from the North Coast Transition Society, and 7D, correspondence from the North Pacific Cannery National Historic Site. Moved by Councillor Niche, seconded by Councillor Moreau. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 3A, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of February 6, 2017 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Renhowa, seconded by Councillor Moreau. Discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 3B, recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 6, 2016 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Renhowa, seconded by Councillor Cunningham. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And item 3C, recommendation that the minutes of the public hearing of meeting of February 6, 2017 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Niche. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item 6A, a report from our community planner. Recommendation that the development application for a variance permit on 125 Kootenai Place. Welcome.
This report to Council is for an application for a development variance permit for the property located at 125 Kootenai Place for the purpose of constructing a one-story accessory building for storage at the rear northeast corner of the property. The application is to vary Section 5.1.3 maximum building height of the Prince Rupert zoning bylaw to increase the maximum allowable height for an accessory building from 3.6 meters to 5.3 meters. And Section 5.1.6, special provisions to exceed the maximum allowable floor area from 70 meters squared to 83.2 meters squared. The full application is attached to this report. In conclusion, the applicant requires approval to proceed to public notification. Do you have any questions?
Council? No questions? Councillor Cunningham?
Just one, when this goes to public notice and the letters go out to the neighborhood, it'll be going to people on Pillsbury that's right behind the house as well. They'll be within the 100-meter, I should think.
Notification will go out in a 50-meter radius around the property line, and will include those properties.
It's quite a small cul-de-sac, and I think the people that are in the cul-de-sac are the only ones that might be affected, so I'm hoping they show up for the meeting.
Councillor Thurgood?
I just have a question. Somewhere I read it was for storage. I was wondering how boats or something, was it for boat storage or RV storage? But I was wondering how they plan to get the RV back there. Is there an existing lane to go back there, or are they going to be... It just looked like there wasn't really any access. That's what I was wondering.
The applicant intends to access the accessory building from the driveway located on the south side of the residence. That would be on the right-hand side on the slide. And building staff have confirmed the feasibility of this access to the accessory building for the purpose indicated in this proposal, and an updated site plan will be supplied.
Any further discussion? Councillor Niche?
I don't really have any issue with this at all. I mean, the one thing that if someone really wanted to get around this and all they would have to do is connect it to their house, and they would be able to pass this bylaw. So by connecting it with a very small piece of, whether it be a covered roof or anything, they could essentially bypass this whole process if they really wanted to. So to me, it's let's just move on to the next and get the notifications out and let people come out and speak if they have a problem with it. I think we should actually look at this bylaw a little bit more and probably adjust it, because 12 feet is really not that high of a shop in the first place, and I really think that a lot of people would probably prefer a higher roof anyways.
Anything else?
12 is the existing.
So the recommendation is that the development variance permit application number DP 1701 for 125 Kootenai Place proceed to public notification. Moved by Councillor Kinney, second by Councillor Ranhala. All those in favour? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, 7A, we have correspondence from the Northwest Community College Students Union, BC Federation of Students, and Local 14. They have a request for a letter of support. My understanding is that the adult basic education program used to not have tuition fees attached to it. It was more accessible. And then now they have made it so that there are tuition fees on the program. And they're requesting that we pass the following resolution, that Council makes that the BC Federation of Students campaign to save adult basic education, don't close the doors, be endorsed. And that Council requests the mayor to write a letter to the minister, Andrew Wilkinson, stating support for adult basic education and requesting the ministry to reinstate funding for adult basic education programs and tuition fees be abolished on the programs, and that the letter be copied to the BC Federation of Students and the Northwest Community College Student Union. You moving that?
I support that.
Okay. Are you moving?
Yeah.
Okay, moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Thorkelson. Discussion?
Your Worship, I think this is a very important motion, and we should just maybe make sure that the letter talks about the many people that we have in Prince Rupert that haven't passed, don't have their grade 12, and doors are closed if you don't to many trades, and if you don't have your dogwood or attic or your AB, and so I think that we're looking at trying to bring in industry is locating here, and we're calling for the training of our own people to Prince Rupert residents to be able to access industry, and until the ministry returns tuition to zero, it's basically impossible for anybody who is on EI, for example, to access this because of the tuition. They used to pay for tuition. There used to be money for daycare as well. So I think this is really an important issue, and it was just taken out of the budget. I think 2 years or 3 years ago, but it hasn't been long. It's not like this has happened for a long time. It's only happened for maybe even the last 4 years, but it hasn't happened for that long, and people still remember about being able to take the course. And we, out of the Mifflin money, we hired people to teach this course at the Fisherman's Hall through the college. And the people that passed the course were able to move on and get better jobs outside the commercial fishing industry, and have made a success for themselves in town. And I think this is just very important that the tuition be paid, and things like the daycare, and actually probably don't need it in this town, but in other towns that bus service is also paid for.
Councillor Randhawa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councillor Thorkelson, especially when we expecting new industry to our community, and we need to train our people. I think government should start paying money back to the students' fund.
Councillor Cunningham.
I echo both councillors' sentiments. This is very important because I personally know 5-6 people that didn't finish high school in town here that I've met. They went and got their basic education, and from there, 2 of them actually got on to university, the other 3 are well employed now. And it's a very important point in a small community up in the north like this.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, next up, correspondence from the Can Island Trail Enhancement Recreation Society. We've, as everyone knows, we just signed an agreement with them for Rushbrook Trail, which is a fantastic opportunity to reestablish some waterfront access. However, they are now looking for our support for 2 projects. One's race chip tracking system for the Mount Hayes Quick Climb, and also the other one is for the Can Island Trail Network Interpretive Signage Project, which I understand is to be signs around the trail network they're trying to build. So they're looking to make an application to for some funding from some agencies, and they're looking for a letter of support from us. Okay, so moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Kinney. Discussion? All those in favor? Oh, do you have a question?
Well, I was just wondering if anybody knows what it is. I mean, I read this, and it's a tracking system for the Mount Hayes Quick Climb that will improve the efficiency, accuracy, and safety of the event by having a digital interface to track participants and free up volunteer resources for other tasks. So I was just wondering, is this, like...
It would be like an iPad where you would be able to see on the map where everybody is on the mountain.
And they implant a chip at the back of your neck, or what happens here?
Yes.
that's just that race up Mount Hayes, so they just want to track them, make it easier to track them. So.
I particularly like the second project because it's just going to be a further enhancement of our trail system. Quite a few people are quite excited about the different trails and things like that. The ones that are in use right now are extremely well used, and the more trails we get, the more it'll enhance tourism as well. We've got a beautiful area to show off, and by getting nice signage out there and things like that and letting people know where they are on that, I think it'll enhance everything to do with the city.
Mm-hmm. And just so everyone knows, we've chatted with the group, and since we've done some design work stuff with the for our downtown core and connecting trails and things like that, whatever those designs that they want to do for their trail network, that we're going to work with them to make sure that we have one kind of template for that we all can use together. So that's kind of one feel for the entire area. So that's something we're working on. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Item C is correspondence from the North Coast Transition Society from their Housing First coordinator, James McNish. They're requesting a letter of support to enter into the next phase of their housing project that they're trying to do. The project is to essentially set up a new transitional shelter project for the Prince Rupert area. I understand they're trying to get a proposal to have it so that you'd have a mix of housing for homeless as well as transitional housing for homeless folks, and so they're ending the first phase now, and they're looking to continue the project. It was only a 5-month feasibility, and now it's looking like they can be feasible, so they're looking for the next phase and our support letter to apply for that funding. So moved by Councillor Randhawa, seconded by Councillor Moreau. Discussion?
Anything to do with housing, let's get it on.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, item D, correspondence from the North Pacific Cannery National Historic Site, looking to apply for funds for a few different projects. They're doing some boat lifts to create a working dock, main canning building, south wall, boiler plant structural issues, breakwater barrier, main canning building, east foundation, wharf, First Nations village restoration, master interpretation plan. So all the things they're trying to work on, and they're going to be applying for a variety of grants for a variety of those different projects that they're undertaking. So they're looking for a letter of support from us for those. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Moreau. Discussion?
Well, it's a great sort of program they have out there. They hire some journeyman carpenters and hire quite a few apprentices, and they've put quite a few different people through their apprentice programs over the years. So it's actually helping build the workforce in Prince Rupert as well as enhance a major attraction in our community. So I'm 100% for it.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And 9A, recommendation that Council adopts the road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 3391 2016 with respect to the closure of a section of road on 3rd Avenue West. Moved by Councillor Niche, seconded by Councillor Randhawa. Any further discussion on this matter? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, reports from members of council. Councillor Niche.
Yesterday evening, I attended an event, a graduation event, on behalf of the city for the, I don't want to get this wrong, Northwest Aboriginal Canadian Entrepreneurs, and it's a program between UVic, Tricorp, and the Northwest Community College, and there was 15 graduates last night that are. Some of them weren't from town, some of them were from other areas, but there was probably 10 or so that were from Prince Rupert, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of their businesses on 3rd Avenue. There was a few good ideas that were in their business plans that they developed over the last 4 months in their program, and maybe they'll fill up some of those empty buildings on 3rd Avenue. It was great to see, and look forward to seeing more of it in the future.
Other reports, Councillor Manhawa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank all Native committee organizers, all the volunteers, and our staff for hosting very successful 58th tournament, and it was great for our town. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councillor Cunningham.
At the recent chamber luncheon, the chair for tourism, Prince Rupert, had a rather good observation of the derelict buildings and boarded up buildings in Prince Rupert and some of the first impressions tourists get when they come to Prince Rupert. Some of the buildings are just being let go by the owners. They're not being maintained. A little bit of pressure washing or things like this would, I think, enhance the look of the buildings. And I believe we have bylaws in place for stuff like this, and if we do, I'd like to see them enforced, or I'd like to see letters sent to the owners saying, look, let's try and have some pride in your building and clean it up. They've got for sale signs on them, and they're just looking like they should be torn down, not sold.
Any other reports? Okay, I just have one thing to say. I just need to make a comment tonight. I just want people to understand that, this organization is a place of integrity. When people come and make accusations to us that we're doing illegal activity, that actually bothers me because of the amount of work this staff does to ensure we meet all guidelines and standards, that everything is above board. And I won't tolerate that type of behavior of people coming forward. And it's one thing that we will absolutely work with the community. I have no problem talking with the community and working with the community in a very collaborative way and answering questions. But when you come with those types of accusations, to me that is an attack on our staff, an attack on this council. We're working very hard, and in the future I just will not tolerate it. So I hope that people won't come forward like that with that type of demeanor again. Anyway, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Niche, second by Councillor Cunningham. All those in favour? Meeting adjourned.